Now, life history variations. Populations evolve to maximize their reproductive fitness, also called Darwinian fitness, means high R value in the habitat in which they live. So, under a particular set of selection pressures, organisms evolve towards the most efficient reproductive strategy. Now, some organisms breed only once in their lifetime. For example, Pacific salmon fish or bamboo, while others breed many times during their lifetime, like most of the birds and mammals. Some produce a large number of small sized offsprings, for example, oysters and pelagic fishes, while others produce a small number of large sized offsprings, that is, birds and mammals again. So, which is desirable for maximum fitness. Ecologists suggest that life history traits of organisms have evolved in relation to the constraints imposed by the abiotic and biotic components of the habitat in which they live. So, evolution of life history traits in different species is currently an important area of research being conducted by ecologists. So, population interactions. Can you think of any natural habitat on Earth that is inhabited just by a single species? There is no such habitat, and such a situation is even inconceivable. For any species, the minimal requirement is one more species on which it can feed. Even a plant species which makes its own food cannot survive alone. It needs some soil microbes to break down the organic matter in soil and return the inorganic nutrients for absorption. And then, how will the plant manage pollination without an animal agent? It is obvious that in nature, animals, plants, and microbes do not and cannot live in isolation but interact in various ways to form a biological community. Even in minimal communities, many interactive linkages exist, although all may not be readily apparent. Interspecific interactions arise from the interaction of populations of two different species. They could be beneficial, detrimental, or neutral. Neutral means neither harm nor benefit to one of the species or both. Assigning a positive sign for beneficial interaction, negative sign for detrimental, and 0 for neutral interaction. Let's look at all the possible outcomes of interspecific interactions. So, in mutualism, both benefits. In competition, both both are detrimental. Means both are in loss. In predation, one is at benefit and the other one is at a loss. In parasitism also, one is benefited and one is harmed. In commensalism, one is benefited while the other species there is no effect. commensalism में क्या होता है, एक स्पीशीज को नुकसान होगा और दूसरे को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. So both the species benefit in mutualism and both lose in competition in their interactions with each other. In both parasitism and predation, only the species benefits. One species benefits means parasite and predator benefits, and the interaction is detrimental to the other species, means negative impact on the other species, that is host for parasite and prey for predator. So the interaction where one species is benefited and the other is neither benefited nor harmed is called commensalism. In amensalism, on the other hand, one species is harmed whereas the other is unaffected. Predation, parasitism, and commensalism share a common characteristic that the interacting species live closely together. In these three population interactions, the interacting species live close to each other. Let's talk about predation. What would happen to all the energy fixed by autotrophic organisms if the community has no animal to eat the plants? You can think of predation as nature's way of transferring to higher trophic levels the energy fixed by plants. When we think of predator and prey, most probably it is the tiger and the deer that readily come to our mind. But a sparrow eating any seed is no less a predator. Although animals eating plants are characterized separately as herbivores, they are in a broad ecological context not very different from predators. Besides acting as uh, conduits means conduits means जरिया मतलब कि किसी के थ्रू. So besides acting as conduits for energy transfer across trophic levels, predators play a very important role also. They keep prey population under control, but for predators, prey species should achieve very high population densities and cause ecosystem instability. When certain exotic species are introduced into a geographical area, they become invasive and start spreading fast because the invaded land does not have its natural predators. The prickly pear cactus introduced into Australia in the early 1920s caused havoc by spreading rapidly into millions of hectares of rangeland. Finally, the invasive cactus was brought under control only after a cactus feeding predator, that is a moth, from its natural habitat was introduced into the country. The biological control methods adopted in agricultural pest control are based on the ability of the predator to regulate the prey population. Predators also help in maintaining the species diversity in a community by reducing the intensity of competition among competing prey species. In the rocky intertidal communities of the American Pacific coast, the starfish pisaster is an important predator. In a field experiment, when all the starfish were removed from an enclosed intertidal area, more than 10 species of invertebrates became extinct within a year because of interspecific competition. Now, if a predator is too efficient and overexploits its prey, then the prey might become extinct, and following it, the predator will also become extinct for the lack of food. This is the reason why predators in nature are prudent, means generous, means they don't eat the prey, means they don't kill the prey, all the prey. In a limit, they do the attacks and all. Prey species have evolved various defenses to lessen the impact of predation. Prey also have evolved many defensive abilities so that they can protect themselves from the predators. Some species of insects and frogs are cryptically colored, means camouflaged, to avoid being detected easily by the predator. Some are poisonous and therefore avoided by the predators. The monarch butterfly is highly distasteful to its predator, which is a bird, because of a special chemical present in its body. Interestingly, the butterfly acquires this chemical during its caterpillar stage by feeding on a poisonous weed. Now, for plants, herbivores are the predators. Nearly 25% of all insects are known to be phytophagous, means feeding on the plant sap and other parts of the plants. The problem is particularly severe for plants because, unlike animals, they cannot run away from their predators. Plants therefore have evolved an astonishing variety of morphological and chemical defenses against herbivores. Thorns, which are seen in acacia and cactus, are the most common morphological means of defense. Many plants produce and store chemicals that make the herbivore sick when they are eaten, inhibit feeding or digestion, disrupts its reproductive, or even kill it. You must have seen the wheat calotropis growing in abandoned fields. The plant produces highly poisonous cardiac glycosides, and that is why You never see any cattle or goats browsing on this plant. A wide variety of chemical substances that we extract from plants on a commercial scale, like nicotine, caffeine, quinine, strychnine, opium, etc., are produced by them actually as defense against grazers and browsers.